Hello, Sagittarius. Thank you so much for joining me again. So as always, before we get started, we're going to take a look at your oracle cards. And this week, Saggy, from Le Vampire, you pulled the Call of the Night, daring, adventure, and excitement. And then from Chakra Wisdom, you pulled Gossip. Now, the Call of the Night seems to be being pulled quite a bit here. And I like that this is what's coming out for Sag. So the blessing here is just a bunch of words, and I always read the blessing with this card because it says a lot about what it is about. The blessing says attraction, stimulated, daring, unexpected, thrill, danger, change in circumstance, drawn to the occult, unknown, wish to understand, experimentation, challenges, and tests. This card is about getting out of your comfort zone, stretching your wings, meeting new people, having new experiences, which for Sag, perfect. So you're feeling that pull, but when you look at that with Gossip, it's saying here that your ability to follow your heart may seem strange or careless to other people. They still support you, but they may not understand why you're getting involved in some things that, may be a little bit different here with the Call of the Night. But Gossip also talks about that there is a warning here that you may lose valued relationships if you do not appreciate what you have. It's about appreciating the uniqueness of others, but also having support for your vision. I just think here that some of you are feeling this pull. You're wanting to experience something a little bit different, maybe a little bit out of your comfort zone, but I think it's more out of the comfort zone for the people that are around you. So they maybe the people around you may think that you're being strange by doing these new things here, but they still support you. All right, Saggy, here we go. Here is the energy coming through, the Queen of Swords. I kind of get iffy when I see her, just because she has a tendency to be really mean. But the Queen of Swords is the energy surrounding you. It has a lot to do with your strength and your independence. She is looked at as the single woman, the divorced woman. This is somebody who has dealt with some pain in the past, but is very clear in their thinking and their communicating. It's just a matter of tolerance with her. Now, some of you, this is the energy that you're feeling. For some of you, this may have to do with an air sign. So we shall see where this Queen of Swords is playing out. And in the past, the Seven of Cups. And I'm seeing this card a lot, and I'm having issues with it. The Seven of Cups is wishful thinking. It's fantasizing about decisions. And sometimes we have a tendency to choose something based on our emotional fantasy surrounding it. Other times with the Seven of Cups, it's saying that you need to make a choice here. But you need to look at priorities when it comes to this. A lot of times I'm like, hey, get out of fantasy land here. Quit fantasizing about things and let's start thinking clearly, because the Queen of Swords is definitely thinking clearly here. But maybe for some of you in the past, maybe being in a little bit of a fog when it comes to needing to make decisions. And others of you, you just may have a lot of options to choose from right now. But again, priority, looking at your priorities. In the present, the King of Wands. And there you are. Hello, Sag. The King of Wands definitely speaks to you. There's wisdom here. But there is passion and there is drive. The King of Wands has a tendency to get bored with details, and he's constantly on the move here, seeking new adventures. But for Sagittarius, I think this is a beautiful energy here. And looking at the Queen of Swords, this may have to do with a relationship. But you pulling on your own energy right now, and your own wisdom, and your own passion is perfect. Oh, the Queen of Wands. Yeah. So there's a couple of different ways for me to look at this here. You have the King and the Queen of Wands. Again, this may have to do with a relationship. Some of you, because I see the King of Wands as Sag, you may have a couple of options around you. And it doesn't matter if you're male or female, or if this is same-sex relationships, it doesn't matter here. It's the energy. And I'm looking at the King of Wands as Sag, wise, wisdom here, and passion. The Queen of Wands is future conditions. For female Sagittarius, this is fantastic energy to be surrounding yourself with. This is tapping into the feistier side of your feminine nature. But I'm looking at this and I'm going, okay, Sag, you know, you have these two people here, but what are you doing? It's like, what are you thinking about here? Where is your mind at when it comes to these two different people? You know, and then the Queen of Wands is future conditions. Not only are you tapping on your own wisdom, but, you know, that part of the king getting bored with details, that's where the Queen of Wands comes in. You know, she is the manager. She knows how to get control, but there's this enthusiasm there with her and this like abundance of energy, and she's fun to be around and very confident. The both of them, the king and the queen, very confident. But I'm seeing you and I'm seeing two different people, and I'm seeing you like doing some fantasizing maybe. The best path to follow, the Page of Pentacles. And here this is talking about thinking practically. You know, if you're looking at it in terms of energy around you, you can be pulling on both here, definitely. Both aspects of the fire in you, the male and the female, and you can be pulling on the power of the Queen of Swords and being clear on your thinking and being able to communicate. But she is sharp, man. She is sharp, and she will kick your ass if you cross her, right? Seeing the Page of Pentacles, though, as your best path to follow, this is really talking about you, you know, being practical and being dependable here. You know, this could also speak about, you know, some new opportunities that are coming through here. The Page of Pentacles, when you look at it, you know, these are new beginnings and messages of new beginnings when it comes to, you know, things that are stable, whether it's work, finances, you know, this is the earth energy, the practical energy here. But there is learning happening here as well. And, you know, for some of you, really, it's you starting to think a little bit more practically when it comes to the way that you're thinking about other people. Possibly. I like the Page of Pentacles. It's a little bit different than the Knight, where, you know, you're really starting to learn here. And I think, you know, and I've seen this once before, with the Page of Pentacles here, it's like you really learning how to pull on this energy and like make the most of it, you know, when you're looking at the male and the female here with the wands. But I think it's you getting to a point where you start thinking a little bit more practically about options that you may have around you. Possibly. In your environment, the Four of Cups. Okay, so, you know, and here's the problem, right? When you're looking at the Four of Cups, first of all, it's boredom, right? And again, there's that warning there with the King of Wands, boredom. Some of you, you know, may be rejecting offers too. And, you know, I'm looking at these two queens and wondering if maybe some of you aren't, you know, rejecting an offer here from somebody. Because technically what's being offered there in the Four of Cups is the Ace of Cups. But, you know, the overall feeling here with this is being bored, feeling like nothing is really good enough, you know, kind of going inward emotionally. And, you know, the king being bored is not a good thing. Not a good thing. I don't know, Sag. I think looking at this, honestly, I think for some of you, there may be a couple of options in front of you, but you're not thinking practically about it with the Seven of Cups as the past coming through. That's why Spirit's pulling on this Page of Pentacles. We need to think practically about this. You know, this isn't something that you should be flighty about, right? And I don't want to say this, but there's a feeling here too where maybe some of you are getting bored in a situation with somebody and maybe seeking excitement with somebody else. But looking at the Queen of Wands as future conditions, you know, I mean, you're looking at the perfect mate right here, right? What is going on, Sag? Your hopes and your fears, the Page of Cups. Yeah, it has to do with love. It does. It has to do with love. So the Page of Cups being in your environment, man, this one's complicated. And I'm looking at that Queen of Swords and I'm wondering if, some of you aren't getting bored in a love situation here. And then some of you may be feeling like, if you're single and you have a couple of people to choose from, you're not, your focus is on the Queen of Swords though. But some of you may be feeling like neither one is good enough here. But the Page of Cups being in your hopes and your fears, this is a messenger for love. It's a little bit different than the Knight of Cups. The Knight of Cups, there's definitely an offering being made there. The Page, though, is this new emotional experience. There's a lighthearted emotional energy here. There's creativity with the Page of Cups as well, but when I'm looking at what's going on here with you emotionally, I think it has to do with possibly a love triangle for some of you. But your overall energy, though, the Queen of Swords. Here's the thing, though. For some of you, if it's just about a relationship with one person, there could be this situation here where, some of you are feeling like a lack of communication about your emotions involving the relationship. And the Queen of Swords is suggesting that you need to be careful about the way that you're communicating your emotional boredom and confusion here, because if you're fantasizing about something else because you're not happy, it's definitely something that you need to be communicating, because the Page of Cups here is suggesting that there is a strengthening of a bond as well. I've always seen the Page of Cups when it shows up in difficult love situations as an opportunity to repair relationships. Not so much with the Knight of Cups, but with the Page of Cups, yes. And that may be the case for some of you. And, with the Page of Pentacles, when you're communicating, be careful about being a little bit too harsh. And I have to wonder here if maybe some of you haven't had difficulties in a relationship where, emotionally you just don't know where you're at, but there's a need to communicate it in order for there to be healing within the relationship. Because I still see these two as perfect together. They're perfect. And, this could have to do with another fire sign. Absolutely. But I'm definitely seeing this as your energy right now, because the King has a tendency to become bored. But I think it's because, you've been through difficulties in your relationship before. But there's like this need here to start communicating and thinking practically and not letting your emotions affect the way that you communicate this to your partner. And the Queen of Wands, this definitely could be a fire sign, but it doesn't have to be. What's more important for me when I'm looking at this versus the sign that it may be is the personality, And this person may be feeling this too, right? The two of you could be feeling this difficulty in communicating and not letting the emotions get in the way of repairing what otherwise would be a very beautiful relationship. And then the outcome, the Wheel of Fortune. To me, this is saying that there are second chances here. This, when I look at the Wheel of Fortune, I have mixed feelings around it because of the experiences that I've had recently with this card. But really, it's you learning lessons 1 through 9, coming into this second cycle in a relationship and good things happening, learning lessons, having a second chance, fate and destiny coming through. For some of you, this may have to do with a couple of different people, but, really the feeling that I'm getting around this is that there may be difficulties for the both of you in communicating the way you feel. And again, it doesn't matter if this is same sex or not, because it definitely could be. And it could be male or female. But either way, I feel like a lot of you may be dealing with another cycle happening within a relationship, but good things happening this time, especially with the Page of Cups sitting there. I just think that maybe some of you are dealing with some difficulties emotionally and expressing the way that you feel about past difficulties, I think is the best way to put it. All right, Sag, we're going to take a look at soul trees because now I'm curious. to get some more wisdom into this. But, I'm looking at this, I'm looking at the call of the night, and I'm looking at gossip. Here's the thing here. When you look at the call of the night and you're looking at the Four of Cups, again, I think for some of you, if you're starting to feel bored in a relationship, be careful, because there's potential here for there to be a renewal in the relationship. You don't want to do something that you're going to regret. But, for some of you, this may just be you needing to experience something a little bit different so that you can start to think a little bit more practically when it comes to the way that you're feeling about the situation. And, I do think that if you're having difficulties in a relationship, there are people around you who support you, but they may be, confused as to why you're having difficulties. But, that could just be because they don't really know. Because, again, nobody knows what goes on behind closed doors, right? What happens with you and your partner is really nobody else's business unless you bring them into it. I'm looking at gossip and thinking about the people that are around you that may be trying to support you through the emotional difficulties you may be having. And action. Expansion is expanding yourself, expanding your thoughts, expanding your soul. And then action, there's a need here for you to take action. If you're looking to start fixing some of, the issues you may be having, especially with the Four of Cups being here, it's time to get up now and start taking action to repair what may be going on for you emotionally or within a relationship or both. Oh, and there's the last one. Trust. Yes. Yep. So, I'm looking at this as a relationship standpoint here for a lot of you. I think that this is the reason why this reading is coming through. There needs to be trust when it comes to your partner, and they need to have trust in you as well. And trust that, when you start putting in the action here, that the universe will start responding and helping you find ways to expand yourself and possibly start mending relationships. Express your love. Go ahead and make the romantic gesture, and you deserve love. You are lovable. Yes, you are. So here's the thing. If you're having difficulties in a relationship, you deserve love. Yes, you do. You deserve to be loved. If you're not feeling that right now, that is where the Page of Cups is coming in, where it's time to start expressing these emotional feelings so that there can be some repair in a relationship where there may have been some difficulties. And definitely express your love. If you love the person that you're with, it's so important to express that emotion. So Saggy, I really think things are turning in a very beautiful direction. I just think some of you may be facing a little bit of difficulty when it comes to a relationship. And there's a need here for you to start thinking and communicating practically and being careful about your emotions clouding your judgment. Okay, Sag, so I really think that this reading is pointed to some of you who may be having difficulty in a relationship right now, which would otherwise be a very beautiful relationship. Seeing you and the Queen show up, this to me is saying that some of you are with the perfect person. For others of you, this may have to do with difficulties with the important relationships in your life. These don't necessarily have to be romantic, but I'm seeing this as a loving relationship between two people. So for the Sagittarius that is dealing with difficulties in a relationship, I think that you are feeling some emotional difficulties right now. There is this sense of boredom. There is this feeling of fantasy happening from the past coming through. And I think it's because of the difficulties you may have faced in a relationship. The Queen of Swords too. Some of you may have gone through a divorce. Some of you may be reconnecting with this person. Others of you just may be dealing with difficulties in a relationship. But the Queen of Swords being the overall energy here, there's a warning the way that she lines up with the cups that you need to be clear on the way that you're communicating and be careful about being too harsh. There needs to be a feeling of tolerance when it comes to wanting to repair this relationship, because I really feel like this is why the Page of Cups is sitting in your hopes and fears. There's a need here to strengthen the bond so that there isn't this feeling of apathy and like this lethargic feeling happening with the Four of Cups. Now, the Page of Pentacles being your best path to follow is really talking about you thinking and speaking practically when it comes to the way that you feel emotionally regarding the difficulties in the relationship. But seeing the Wheel of Fortune come out is saying that there's a second chance here in the relationship. There's a new start here. And fate is starting to work in your favor here. This is the turning of the wheel and good things happening this time. But really, it's up to you and how much trust that you put in the situation and your partner, and you starting to take action to start healing this relationship. And there is a part of you that is expanding. Something in your life is expanding here. And when I look at that, I think of the call of the night, where you're starting to expand yourself and experience different things here. You know, I would... if there was cheating going on, I would expect to see like the Three of Swords or the Seven of Swords or something like that. And I just think that some of you are having some difficulties that need to be talked about in a practical way. Looking at gossip, this to me is saying that maybe, you know, the people that are around you aren't really understanding where you're coming from right now, but they still support you. And the other thing here too is that, you know, you need to appreciate the people that are in your life and their uniqueness. But, you know, overall, Sag, the outcome here is beautiful. And then seeing soulmate show up for the singles, yeah. And then you have the King and the Queen. It's your perfect match. And I think it's fantastic. Some of you that are single are going to be meeting this person. Others of you have already met this person. Beautiful card, though. Beautiful card. And then for those of you who are in a relationship, you deserve love. You are lovable. This is where the difficulty starts to come in, if some of you haven't been feeling that. But express your love, and then action is really telling you that if you start taking that action and expressing the way that you feel, you will start to feel that love from your partner as well. But overall, Sag, the outcome here for those of you who are dealing with difficulties in relationships is beautiful. It's fantastic. There is a new opportunity here. And it's up to you and the actions that you take that's going to determine what happens in the relationship and how you heal these hard emotional feelings that you may be going through.